Welcome, gods and goddesses, creators, to All Things Spirituality with yours truly, Maria Palomino, a sacred sanctuary that speaks the unspeakable and lets you in on the secrets of spiritual awakening. Introducing self-discovery, soul awakening tools that helps you remember your soul's true purpose to start manifesting a conscious reality. Every soul is unique, meaning no spiritual path is the same. Feel every conversation and let your mind, body, and soul guide you to what is unique to only you. It is the soul's resonance of remembrance. Now, take a deep breath, drop into your heart, and let us begin, beautiful souls creators. Welcome, gods and goddess, to another episode of All Things Spirituality. Today, we have an amazing goddess joining us, Sarita, who is going to be speaking to us about Tantra. And let me read a little bit about Ma Ananda Sarita. She is a world-renowned Tantra master and mystic, offering courses, retreats, and trainings throughout the world. Having received a direct transmission from Osho, she's true to the spiritual essence of Tantra and gives her students on the path of self-realization. At the same time, she helps people to transcend the psychological issues which are carried as a result of cultural conditioning and past experiences. She's also a master healer, author, producer, director of Tantra courses online. Sarita, this is very important. Sarita was already very sensitive to subtle energies and guidance from spirit as a child. And as a young teenager, she left her hometown in California and went in search of the essence of life. She hitchhiked her way through North America, Europe, the Middle East, and India. She met Osho in Mumbai, India in 1973 at the age of 17 and subsequently remained in his community for the next 26 years, receiving much personal guidance from him on the subject of meditation, Tantra, love, and relationship. What a background and so much wisdom that Sarita is going to bring for us today. Thank you for having us, Sarita. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank
you know, just now, yesterday, I started the part 4 of a Tantra teacher training. And because of the world situation, we're doing it live and online.
Oh,
so this is, of course, challenging to put such a phenomenal training online, but we're managing that. And it's really, every time I do a course, I offer a course.
Yeah.
I'm simply blown away. I'm in a kind of inner ecstasy that we can share the joy of Tantra with the world, with people from so many different countries, and sowing seeds of positivity, love, and consciousness in this world that really needs it.
Yes, it's so amazing how much we can do online and the transmissions and the energies that are felt and the experiences that our people are having. So beautiful. Let's drop in. I always like doing a quick little tuning. Let's do a quick little two-minute tune in to drop into our hearts. So all the content that we're delivering to our beautiful souls, our listeners, are felt and heard from their highest self. So let's bring our hearts to prayer position let's bring our hands to prayer position to our hearts. Close your eyes. Look at your gaze at the point between your eyebrows. Take a deep breath, filling up your tummy, filling up your rib cage, your shoulders. Hold up top. And exhale twice through your mouth. Giving thanks for everything that already has taken place and all that energy that was utilized. One more time, take a deep breath. Make it deeper, make it deeper. Hold up top. And release twice. And another last deep breath to chant Om, the primordial sound of creation. Deep breath. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And just feel that peace and that bliss that has been created with some simple breaths and a quick chant. Giving thanks for being here and now, and grateful for every opportunity we have to take our breath and experience life on earth. And gently open your eyes. Thank you.
What a wonderful live podcast.
Yes, making it. I'm just trying to say so truthful to the vision and what I'm guided to, because it's so easy with, oh, well, this person is doing this person's doing it something different, have this type of music. It's like, no, stick with what has been guided and what is truth to you and what moves you, because that's what the message that I want to bring forward to everyone. Sarita, so much to share with us today. Why don't we start with you teaching the people what is Tantra, what have been some of the misconceptions that have been out about Tantra, and maybe some of that taboos and how that's changing and why it's changing. So I'll let you lead, please.
Okay. I think it's really important to clear up misconceptions about Tantra, because actually Tantra is a spiritual path to enlightenment, and it is including everything that the human being is in that spirituality. So whether that is our chakra system, Kundalini energy, the senses, emotions, expanded states of consciousness, our instinctual nature, all of it is included on the Tantra path. And the mystic key that Tantra is offering is weaving together love and meditation and applying that to any life experience. And this principle goes very deep, actually, because the male spiritual path is more aligned with meditation and witnessing, while the female spiritual path is more aligned with love and devotion. And as we bring these two elements together, we will find the ultimate truth. So in any Tantra practice, you will find this weaving together of the qualities of meditation and love, thereby addressing the needs which are inherent in the masculine, in the feminine. So man and woman can walk this path together and each find the fulfillment that they so long for. And we can apply this principle to literally anything in life, whether that is having sex, drinking a cup of tea, taking a walk in nature, having a conversation with someone. We can apply it everywhere. And there are so many different Tantra meditations. Now, Tantra became very famous in regards to the fact that it also includes sexuality, but it's not only about sexuality. So this is where the misconceptions came in. And I'm reminded that, India used to be enslaved by the British Empire. And so during that period, in the Victorian age, there were scholars from England who were translating Sanskrit texts, Sanskrit scriptures, and they were also translating some Tantra scriptures. And they found out that there are some scriptures where it's mentioned some rituals include sexuality. And they freaked out because in Victorian England was very, very extremely uptight about sexuality. They used to cover tables with a cloth so you don't see the legs, because the legs reminded one of the legs of humans leading to the sexual organs. So that's the level of uptightness. Like women will wear skirts all the way down to their toes because you shouldn't see the ankles. If you see the ankles, that's going to remind you of sexuality. So in that milieu, they were translating these texts and they saw some reference to sexuality and they dubbed it the cult of sex. And that label stuck even till today, even though there are so many tantric texts which have now been translated, so many scholarly treatises about Tantra that are revealing the depth, the breadth, the incredible possibilities that Tantra offers for spiritual awakening in all different ways. So it's really important to clear up the misconception that happened, because the news about Tantra landed in the West at a time when people were trying to transition into some kind of sexual liberation, and the liberation of women, liberation of men, and all, this free culture. So at the time Tantra was landing in the culture, there was some kind of gossip spreading. We have some kind of spirituality that includes sex. Okay, so let's go for sex and freedom of sex. And finally, people started thinking that Tantra is equal to polyamory or something like that. And nothing could be farther from the truth, actually. So it's been part of my mission to clear up misconceptions about Tantra, actually. And I like to start with the meaning of the word Tantra. So I'll just say that very briefly, because in Sanskrit, every word has approximately 3, 4, or 5 meanings. Depending on how you're using the word, you can interpret it in this or that way. So one of the meanings of Tantra is to weave. And this has a very deep significance. Just think about a cloth. You're weaving together vertical and horizontal threads, and then through that, you get a whole cloth. The vertical within us represents our divine or spiritual nature. The horizontal represents our hedonism, our animal nature. And as we weave these together, we get the complete cloth. So it's about weaving together opposite polarities that are inherent in all of life, actually. Another meaning of Tantra is methods for expanding consciousness. So Tantra is actually rooted in methods. It's not about some belief system. It's all about practicing some method of meditation. Through that, your own innate wisdom will start flowering, start opening. And another meaning of the word Tantra is transforming poison into nectar. And this is really a very deep and significant meaning, because there are different aspects of our life that we consider as poisons. For example, many people consider anger as a poison. But if you create a meditation where you express your anger in a conscious way, it will be transformed. The anger will be transformed into spontaneity. And likewise, you can take anything that people normally consider poisonous in life, apply a witnessing consciousness to it, and transform it into its divine potential. So you can see that the word Tantra in itself is very deep, very powerful. It has such incredible meaning, and yet it's been completely corrupted. So we need to bring back the dignity to Tantra. And this is what I'm involved in, one of the passions that I have.
I love it. And it was just very natural, especially in the 60s with all the rights for women, for African American, and so forth. And it's the natural pendulum swing that we tend to do till we realize, oh, it's all about neutrality. You can go to right, to left. I'm not going to any of the extremes. And you're talking about the divine union of bringing in these polarities, man, woman, the yin and yang. Everything has its opposites. And that's an art to be able to get to the balance, to that coherence, to that neutrality. And that's something that I've been very called for Tantra as well, and learning it. And also with sexuality, and or learning also how important it is and how it needs to also be talked about, so we can start being able to play with this cosmic energy that is so powerful consciously. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And we hear so much about cosmic orgasm. Tell us more.
Yes, this is a fascinating subject. And I'll just say a little something about a saying in Tantra: no mud, no lotus. So this is giving a powerful transmission. And it is a symbolism about our spiritual path, because in the Tantra, we work with the chakra system. The crown chakra is called Sahasrara, and it means the 1,000-petaled lotus.
Mm-hmm.
No mud, no lotus refers to the mud of our being our instinctual nature, which includes our sexuality. And as we go into this with awareness, from the roots, the stem of the lotus will start growing up through the chakra system, and then it will flower at the crown chakra as a 1,000-petaled lotus. But the lotus can only flower because it has its roots deep in the mud. If we cut ourselves off from our instinctual nature, the lotus of consciousness cannot flower. It will become a dead lotus. But religions have been somehow teaching us to cut off from our roots and to only develop the higher chakras. So this is a mistake, actually, and it will not work. It will not create a spiritual culture, because it's a disrooted, unrooted culture. So we need to bring our awareness back into our roots, bring consciousness there. So explore our sexuality in the light of consciousness, in the light of love. And then from there, develop that life force energy and help it to expand and to grow all the way through the entire chakra system. We can have orgasm not only in the sex center, but also in every chakra. We can have experiences of very powerful orgasm. For example, the orgasm of the heart, the orgasm of the third eye, or the orgasm at the crown chakra. When we have orgasm at the crown chakra, it is known as a cosmic orgasm. It opens us into an experience of merging into universal consciousness. And when a man and a woman are practicing tantric sex, they are endeavoring to meet and experience orgasm in all of their chakras simultaneously. So this is known as the great union.
Wow.
And it will lead to the experience of the soulmate. And based on this, I have developed a 7-level soulmate training where couples go on a journey. It takes about 3.5 years. And we go on a journey through our whole being from different angles, going into tantric meditation, which includes sexual union. And this is an incredible journey of a lifetime for a couple. And it is developing the couple into soulmates. So I love this work. I'm passionate about it.
I can't imagine all the, and when I use the word arousal that you are creating, it's an arousal that it's self-realized, that is vibrating much higher, and that itself is creating ripples in the energetic field and increasing the frequency of the world. And is done, individually, every person coming in. And I can see why it takes 3.5 years, because those people need to first, I'm guessing, get to know themselves better and come within their own union before they can come in and become those soulmates, right? Is it something like that? I'm
So,
guessing.
the way it works is that after every level, like each level is approximately 7 days, and usually held in a beautiful place, beautiful venue. And the couple are immersed in that group process. Every day they're sent to the bedroom to do tantric practices.
Okay.
And then after each level, there are love appointments which they need to complete, a series of love appointments. They need to complete those before they come to the next level. So if they have not completed their homework or
Yeah.
home play, I should say, they're not allowed to go back to the next level. So they are evolving very powerfully on their tantric path, not only in the group, but also after the group, in between the groups. Like after
Wow.
level 1, there's 21 love appointments. And this is going to help the couple to go into deeper and deeper states of intimacy, and at the same time expand their potential for inner ecstasy. And then after the level 2, there are 14 love appointments, and it goes like that. Each level has a particular series of love appointments to practice.
That's
So it is
incredible.
a sadhana, it is a spiritual practice, but which includes all that we are, including our sexual ecstasy.
Oh, I love it. And then as we get older, how do our orgasms change? I'm hearing that it actually gets more powerful. And because I guess maybe we're more conscious about it, right? And this is good because sometimes people get older and they think, oh, my years have passed. I should have done and experienced this when I was younger. But what's the truth?
I have a group called Tantra Transformation, and
Yeah.
this is focused on helping people to rewrite their script if they feel they missed something around their
Mm.
sexual development or their ability to open their creativity, their inner ecstasy flow in whatever way it is. So we go backwards, we unwind, and we rewrite the script of the 7-year cycles, which form the foundation of our development into ecstatic human beings.
Yeah.
And so it's never too late. You can rewrite your script. You can reclaim what you have not lived. Because it's true that many people reach to middle age and they look back and they say, oh shit, I missed a lot of my potential and now maybe it's too late. It's never too late. So I just want to give that good news. And then the other good news around sexuality and aging. In the 1950s, Masters and Johnson were doing a lot of research about human sexuality, which they published a book, which rocked the world of those days. It was they who actually started the sexual revolution with their findings. So they went actually into the laboratory studying human sexuality in all its variables, which was very cutting edge in those days, like really strong. There is a series on Netflix that is talking about that. It's called Masters of Sex. I highly recommend. Book also by the same name, Masters of Sex, where you can learn all about the research of Masters and Johnson. So as part of their research, they were finding out all about orgasm and also about misconceptions around orgasm, and in particular, women's orgasmic potential. Because in those days, not so much was known about women's orgasmic potential. It was still very much in the dark. Many women didn't even know that they can have orgasm. And it was still thought that bad girls go into that kind of thing and ladies lay down and be still and just, take it from the man.
Yeah. So being a little
women
submissive.
didn't really,
Yeah.
women didn't have a voice at that time. And so with the findings of Masters and Johnson, women could get a voice around their sexuality. Now they found that women are multiply orgasmic into their 90s and beyond.
Wow.
So they studied the sexuality of elder women, and they found out that yes, elder women are having multiple orgasms. So that's a very good news, because previously it was thought that with menopause it's all over, and somehow women were accepting that and then probably confused that they still have sexual fantasies or thoughts. And they might have thought that, something's wrong with me, or, what is this, and whatever.
Yeah.
And another misconception that they cleared up was a really wrong idea that was launched into the world by Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
Of course, Sigmund Freud launched into the world many brilliant ideas and methodologies, which then became the practice of psychiatry. But he said something which was idiotic and which is still polluting people's minds even today, even though it was scientifically proven to be untrue. He said that if a woman needs her clitoris stimulated, she is infantile. And if she can orgasm from penetration alone, then she is a true woman. So
Ooh.
this thought went into the mainstream somehow and destroyed the sex lives of millions upon millions of couples.
Yes.
Because, of course, woman's sexuality is deeply connected to her clitoris. Without her clitoris, she cannot orgasm. The clitoris is always involved in the orgasmic response. The clitoral network has approximately 8,000 nerve endings devoted only to pleasure. It's the only organ in the male or the female body that is devoted solely to pleasure. These nerve endings are connected all over the entire body. And Masters and Johnson found out the clitoris will always be involved in any kind of orgasm. There are 3 elements to orgasm: clitoral arousal, there's a nerve in the sacrum, which is the trigger for orgasm, and then the contractions will be felt in the vagina. Now, if you tell a woman you should not involve your clitoris in your sexual response, that's like saying to a man, it's exactly the same as if you say to a man, you can go into your sexual pleasure, but you're never allowed to touch the tip of your lingam,
Yes.
of your you are not allowed to touch. Impossible. The men would think you're completely insane and crazy.
Yes.
So, but this is what's being told to women. Okay, let's just get this very straight.
Misconception.
Because it's necessary to clear it up. And so some women, they do have orgasm without manually stimulating their clitoris with their hand or tongue or whatever. But that is because the anatomy, their particular anatomy, melts with their partner's anatomy in a certain way where the clitoris is being actively stimulated just through the friction of the penetration.
Yes.
But in some other people, the anatomy is not going to provide that possibility. And so then the woman will need to use hands, or the man will need to use hands or tongue or some other form of stimulation on or around the clitoris. And so I think it's very good we clear up these misconceptions and let people relax around their sexuality once and for all, like truly.
Yeah. And the other question is, I mean, this generation, my generation, we weren't taught, how to, be with a partner and have conscious intercourse, yet alone, we're told to get to know our bodies first before we even go into a sexual relationship. And I think, people get older, 20s, 30s, 40s, and they still don't know their body, and they're putting all the pressure on their partner. How?
Yes.
Yeah. What's a good way of working towards that?
We need to become a sovereign of our own sexuality. And that starts with self-pleasuring. Now, children are naturally drawn to self-pleasuring. They even do it inside the womb, because it's been found through scans that babies in the womb, they're literally self-pleasuring. And of course, at that time, it's not sexual. The sexual element comes into that when we reach puberty or slightly before puberty.
Yeah.
Up until then, it's more of a whole body activation of energy. So it's something like that. It's helping us to feel connected to our pleasure centers all over the entire body. So children are born needing to connect with their genitals, needing to touch themselves, to caress themselves. And because of the way that the babies and the children are raised, they're taught to avoid touching the genitals. And
Yes.
some children are deeply shamed for that. So then they cut off from their own pleasure centers. And they may go all the way into their adulthood never having masturbated. So this is a travesty because
Yeah.
it is cutting us off from something which is actually our nature. Of course, children can be told this is a beautiful connectivity that you are having. And in the normal society, it's thought that, you know, that's something that shouldn't be done in public, because some children, they will just be in the living room and they'll start touching themselves and giggling and, you know, going into that energy flow. And then
Yes.
maybe the vicar is coming to visit and the family gets very embarrassed. But
Very
they can just
common.
tell the child the wonderful connectivity that you're going into, but you can do that in your own bedroom. So do that in your privacy and enjoy it. So give them a very positive enforcement, you know, reinforcement about what they are experiencing. Never shame them for that. That should never be done.
Yeah.
And especially, I would like to mention around boys' developmental cycles, because boys have boosts of testosterone at certain periods as they're growing up. And the testosterone is their main sex hormone. So they have a huge burst of testosterone at birth, again around 9 months of age, again at 4 years of age, huge boost of testosterone. And then again, 9 years of age, and then something around 13, 14 years of age. The peak of the male sexuality comes around 18 years of age, like
Wow.
a huge burst of testosterone. Now, if in those developmental phases, the boys are not allowed to masturbate, to self-pleasure, they are going to get warped in their sexuality. They will become like, they will have problems. And that sexual energy will get diverted into mental energy, leading to a mentalized sexuality, which can easily lead to porn addiction. And now, of
Yes.
course, we know that porn addiction is a huge problem in our world, and it literally leads to impotence. It was found, for example, in a study done by Delgado on rats. He put an electrode in the brain of the rat at the orgasm center. The rat could push two buttons. One button would lead to food. Another button would lead to orgasm from that sex center in the brain, because we have glandular system in the brain responsible for our sexual response.
Yeah.
So rat was pressing the button leading to orgasm till it died. Till it
Wow.
died.
Ooh,
That's
it's an
how
addiction.
powerful this earth is.
Mm.
And so when people go into porn, they're actually overstimulating that sex center in the brain. And many times doing exactly like the rat did, keep pressing the button, the
Yes.
orgasm button. And then all their relationships break down, their body becomes exhausted, and it can literally lead to physical impotence. And I've known persons to who this happened, and it's really a tragedy. So it's very important that people are educated around this subject and come back to like a really easeful and delightful way of self-pleasuring, discovering your body. And if by chance you missed the phases in your life growing up because you were shamed and you found that it was thought to be unacceptable, etc., reclaim that and go into actual sadhana practice, where
Yes.
you are taking an hour or 2 hours and you're discovering your body as if for the first time, like a child. And you spend time discovering who you are as a delightful, pleasure-filled being. And then you do another love appointment with yourself, and you grow up a little bit more. So I suggest 3-year increments. You start as if you're 3 years of age. Next session, 6 years of age. Next session, 9 years of age. Next session, 12 years. And you keep growing up through self-pleasure practice till you reach to your current age. And along the way, you allow yourself to discover your body from within and what your energy actually wanted to do at those ages. So this is a really beautiful way to reclaim your sexual empowerment.
It's so powerful because that little person, I do a lot of inner child workshops, and the little person still exists in there. So she's still asking.
Exactly.
And sometimes we wonder, it's like, oh, something is not enough. We're trying to fulfill a hole and we don't know what it is. And it can be as simple as, I didn't pleasure myself. Our body is very important, gives us so much information. And yeah, we just repress so much energy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to give you a symbolism that can help to understand. If you imagine a bull, just imagine a bull who's full of power and energy. He's wild. And then you cut the balls off of the bull and you have an ox who will just do your bidding, carry burdens, and plow the fields. So an ox is simply a bull that had his balls cut. This has been done to humanity, that we have been turned into oxen because we've been cut off from our sexuality. And we need to reclaim our power, energy, pleasure, ecstasy by reclaiming our sexuality and applying meditative awareness to it. That's the difference that makes all the difference. Because if we only reclaim our sexuality, then we can take it in a very unconscious direction into licentiousness, acting out all kind of things, and that may not serve us for our highest good. So we need to join it together with consciousness and consciousness practices.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you. Talking about women being able to orgasm till they're 90, and also men having so much addiction and overstimulating themselves. Within Tantra, it's talked about, especially for men, to be able to not ejaculate every time they're getting themselves aroused. So can you explain that a little bit more about why is that? And do women need to do that as well? Or how does that differ?
That's a very important subject because energy is one. Our energy can go in any aspect of our being. We can develop it in multidimensional ways. Nature is asking the sexual energy to go down and out for the purposes of procreation. In spirituality and in Tantra, we can invite that same energy in and up for transformation. So this is two possibilities of energy. And it's important for human beings to explore both of these possibilities of developing our energy, the down and out, which is purely instinctual, and the in and up, which is transformational. And Osho is giving really beautiful guidelines about how children can be educated in order to have a completely open channel, never have it closed down.
Yes.
If somebody has not explored meditation when they are a child, then they will need to explore meditation when they're grown up and very consciously open the central channel that leads to the in and up movement of the energy, because that's how we can find full body orgasmic states.
Yes.
And for men, it's vital. If you want to practice conservation of semen, you need to open up that central channel so that you can simply issue a command inside of yourself. Okay, this time I want the energy to go in and up, and it can travel up through that central channel, leading to full body orgasmic states and even multiple orgasmic states without loss of energy through ejaculation. So this is the potential that men have. And it's actually very important for men to learn this, because testosterone, the principal male hormone, will gradually diminish throughout the man's life. This is simply a biological fact. And if you ejaculate too much, you will diminish your life force energy. And as testosterone diminishes, you may not even be able to get erection as you get older. But if you learn conservation of semen practice, you can have incredible sexual experiences into your old age with no loss of energy. And I'm not saying that you should never ejaculate, because there are some teachers that say, yes, you should never ejaculate. This is a misconception. This is erroneous, because the body has its own cycle of how often ejaculation will be needed. And that depends on the age and the health of the man. So in the teenage years, the Taoist tantrics, they say this. In the teenage years, you might need to ejaculate every day. Then maybe in your 20s, 3 times a week. Maybe in your 30s, twice a week. Maybe in your 40s, once a week. Maybe in your 50s, once every 2 weeks. In your 60s, once a month. And it goes like that. So this is not set in stone, what I'm saying. Each man has to find out what is your natural cycle of ejaculation. Because the problem is, because of our repressive upbringings, because of our conditioning, a man might seek to release pent-up emotions through ejaculation. So it's used as just an emotional release, if you like, releasing tension before sleep. And so if it's used like that, you are diverting what could be just a direct emotional release into a loss of your vital life force energy. So we need to isolate emotional release from the pleasure of orgasm. And if you have built up emotion, stress, tension, do other kinds of stress release activities. For example, if you have anger, you can do the pillow beating meditation. This is absolutely fabulous. Release that anger directly on a pillow. Harmlessly. You're not harming another person. You're not harming yourself. And you're just releasing it directly. And then it doesn't have to go down and out through ejaculation. And then ejaculation can be saved for those special moments when your body actually wants to have the release according to your age and health.
So that's not to say, let's say a man is older in their 50s and maybe twice a month. That doesn't mean that they can't penetrate a woman, correct? They just need to know how to hold and not ejaculate and not release. So that's an art, I'm guessing, for men.
Yeah, that's an art. In the ancient Taoist scriptures, they say that for a man to preserve his sexual libido, he needs to make love very often, but ejaculate less often. So this is a recipe for a long, healthy, and fulfilled life for a man. And so when you practice Tantra, you are learning to cultivate your sexual energy, to enjoy it, but not necessarily to ejaculate over much. So this is an art, and this is part of the science of Tantra. And of course, men are learning this also when they go to Tantra groups, or in my couples training. Of course, I'm teaching this because it's very important. So for women, it is a different story. Women lose energy with the menstrual period. Women do not lose energy through orgasm. In fact, women gain energy through orgasm.
Whoa.
So this is a discrepancy between men and women, that women can have multiple orgasms. She seems unable to go into fatigue, actually, if her body is healthy. She can have, maybe 5, 6, 10 orgasms. And so there is a discrepancy between men and women in that respect. And that's where learning the art of sexuality is very, very important. We have to understand the differences between men and women and apply intelligence to that, and help to create a harmonious union between the two. There are other differences. For example, the man needs approximately 3 minutes to be ready for penetration, and for some men, they're ready for ejaculation within 3 minutes. Women need approximately 20 to 40 minutes of erotic play before penetration. Now,
Yes.
once a man has orgasm, if he's had ejaculation, he needs to rest for approximately 20 minutes to regain energy in his body. For the woman, when she has one orgasm, she's ready for more orgasms. She remains on an orgasmic plateau for another 20 minutes, ready for more orgasms.
Oh,
So this has
wow.
all been found in the studies of Masters and Johnson that I referred to earlier.
Yes.
So you can see there's a strong discrepancy between the male and the female. And because there's a tendency in the male to expect the woman to be like himself, or in the female to expect the man to be like herself, we get
Wow.
entangled into a lot of misunderstandings around our sexuality. If we can just understand the basic biological facts and apply our intelligence, we can
Yes.
create an art form out of our sexual experience. And this is what tantrics have devoted so much research to. One of the things they devoted research to.
Yeah.
It was said in an ancient Taoist scripture that a man should apply the art of arousing the woman in the ways he's been taught. So he should watch for all the signs of her arousal, her pleasure, and only if she begs him with tears in her eyes is he allowed to finally penetrate her.
Oh.
So it was taught in ancient times in Taoist China.
Yeah. Those are ancient books. Tell me about having orgasms and activating the third eye, the pineal gland, and basically stimulating that DMT that we have there. Because I've noticed with me, and I've already been opening up more and more my third eye, that I get more visions more than ever now. Can you tell us that, and maybe go into Shakti rising and how all of that interrelates?
This is very, very important to understand. And it takes us again into understanding biology. So basically, when the man has orgasm, his orgasm reaches to the reptile brain. We have 3 levels of the brain: reptile, animal, and human. And so what happens is that his rational brain never completely shuts down during orgasm. Probably nature wanted him to remain alert so that he can be protective of the feminine, because when the woman has orgasm, she completely loses her rational mind. Her orgasm reaches all the way to the higher centers of the brain, and from there opens into possible DMT release, going into like extraordinary cosmic spaces. She is literally having a kind of cosmic experience through the orgasm. Of course, that's not happening for every woman, because that means you need to be allowing that orgasm response in your whole body. You can't just keep it localized around the clitoral network. Now, if a man wants to experience orgasm in his higher centers, he needs to do tantric practices. He needs to train his body to bring that orgasm response all the way into the higher brain centers, so that he also can have a cosmic experience during orgasm. This takes training for the man. So there is a discrepancy there by biology between men and women. Women are allowed to just take a rocket ship to the moon in orgasm, and are staying somehow on the earth in order to protect the,
So beautiful.
themselves. Because protection is inbuilt into the male biology. Testosterone has different qualities. One is territorialness, goal-orientedness, abundant libido, physical strength, the desire to protect and to, protect his territory, protect his woman. So this is inbuilt into the masculine. And we need to accept our biology and find out how can we refine it, not pretend that it's not there or not repress it, but actually work with it.
Yes.
So this is what we need to do. And this is part of the science of Tantra also. So when a woman is having orgasm and multiple orgasm, she can literally fly off into cosmic consciousness and start having visions, seeing all kind of colors, having some kind of psychedelic trip. And
Yes.
that becomes in itself a kind of addiction. So she wants more and more. And then the other thing that is misunderstood about women, which I think is very important to mention, is that women's sexuality by its very nature is somehow going to create addiction with the man, because the man's sperm has within it an addictive substance. And after one ejaculation, if there's no protection, if the ejaculation is inside of the yoni, the woman will become addicted to that man for 1 month after only one ejaculation. And this is programmed by our biology. So we need to bring compassion towards ourselves and understand that this is happening, not try to, repress it or say, oh my God, something's wrong with me because I'm getting so attached. When a woman is bonding with a man, like for a period of 3 days, if you're having a kind of honeymoon, then in those 3 days, the yoni will start physically changing shape to adapt to that man's lingam.
Wow.
And once that adaptation has taken place, her emotions, her psychology will also start adapting to that man. And she will start, in a sense, like being bonded to and even worshiping that man and starting to adapt her whole psychological outlook to his. And this is programmed by nature. So we shouldn't say to ourselves, oh, you're so codependent. What's wrong with you? You should be more liberated. You should be more on your own, etc. Biology would like us to be attached to the masculine, because if we get pregnant, we need a safe, secure surrounding. We need the masculine there to protect us. So we're going into the very vulnerable aspects of pregnancy, childbirth, and raising the child. So this is
beautiful.
Biological programmed.
Yeah, biology is spirit. It's consciousness. It's it knows what it's doing.
Yes, we need to work with it, basically.
Yeah, understand it. And I feel like this is what teenagers should be learning, especially in the US. We have sexual reproductive classes. They call it sex ed, right? And what we're learning, I don't think it's vital at all. Like, they just kind of prevent you from experiencing yourself, as opposed to giving knowledge about the body and how it works and the relationship and the connections that we're making with one another when we have intercourse, and the energy that's being exchanged. And I love it because more people are becoming trained. They're becoming Tantra teachers with your help, and they're spreading this knowledge and consciousness, because now the mothers, the grandmas, the aunts, they're bringing in this knowledge that they're spreading and they're talking about to the new generation. So thank you for your work.
It's very, very important. And I think we need to spread it among young people also. And it can come very slowly, like basically in terms of education. There's been a study done in some Scandinavian schools, preschools, where they taught massage to the young children, like children of 4 years of age are learning massage. And they found out that when they learn massage and they practice it regularly, their intelligence is greatly boosted. Also, their sensitivity and empathy with other children, they become more loving. They stop fighting. They stop getting into competition. They start just becoming empathic, wise, caring human beings. This is just through implementing massage. So this is something very simple that could be done in schools. The other thing which Osho talks about, which is very important, is helping children to learn meditation from the earliest age. So they learn how to sit in silence. It doesn't have to be for a long time because children's attention span is not so long. But from the earliest age, if they start learning meditation, automatically they will remain connected to source and their central channel will remain open.
Yes.
And then when they reach puberty and the hormones are pumping and the hormones are searching for the greatest inner ecstasy possible. And so hormones are searching, how can I find that inner ecstasy? Because the central channel is still open in those children who will practice meditation, that energy will automatically search to go in and up into exalted spiritual states. Yeah. So this is a way to help children to really avoid going into all kind of negative and destructive directions, because in the teenage years, the child is finding out what are the greatest high my hormones can take me to. And so there will be a tendency to go into fast cars, drugs, experimenting on very edgy things, and it can become very destructive. But if the central channel is open, if the children have learned basic Tantra principles growing up, then that same energy will be going in and up into exalted spiritual states. And I was very lucky to meet Osho at the age of 17, because my hormones were kind of, burning states and take me to the greatest high and all that. And I learned Tantra at that age. And wow, amazing, miraculous, mind-blowing, what kind of states I could open to. And I wish that every young person and teenager could have the benefit of this kind of education.
Yes. Well, it's the new age. We're bringing heaven down to earth, all this beautiful cosmic knowledge that has been passed on from the Vedas, from all the different traditions. And, it's up to us to educate ourselves and educate the new generation. Sarita, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have you. You bring so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and thank you for doing your work and for everything that you share. It was a pleasure having you. I'm sure all our listeners have all this checklist of things we want to do and experience, and we're going to be putting down Sarita's information, her website, her social media. So if anyone's interested in any of her teacher trainings or workshop, you can contact her. She's based out of Bali at the moment, but online classes work just as well because energy doesn't know time and space. So you're still receiving all the knowledge, and it's all about intention. So thank you so much, Sarita. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.